information. Nobody does it better. Maybe that's why we've grown to one incredible family statewide. Welcome back. This is the Gallo Radio Show with your host, Paul Gallo.
We're on the air.
Well, party's starting early today.
What do you want
The
now?
answer is yes.
Come on, baby. Let's do the twist. Come on, baby. Let's do the twist.
Oh, Jesus. Let me finish this one. We'll try to get a few more calls in here. It was at the Mississippi 1st Congressional District Republican primary. Recently spoke at the National Tea Party. Blah, 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 blah. This one was at the YAL.
No, it
apparently,
wasn't, Paul.
did you ask the officer to remove these people when they asked you?
Here's what, and it wasn't at the Y. It wasn't at. Say it again. The YAL.
YALU.
It wasn't at the YALU.
Young Americans for Liberty.
It wasn't there.
Well,
Judge
that's what it
Joe
says
Brown.
here.
Well, I'm telling you what it was. And they did. And did they call you? Because we had a long conversation afterwards. Did they call you and tell you that I did not know?
I'm reading an article from James Robinson, Young Americans for Liberty, Ole Miss chapter. Ms. McGlowan's reaction may be indicative of future in politics, stating that she can indeed name the first 10 amendments. In all fairness, I mentioned off the air a few moments ago when we were on a break, I don't think I could name the first 10 amendments other than in paraphrasing freedom of speech, freedom of
here's what happened.
Assembly, et cetera, et cetera.
Paul, here's what happened. We were about to do our press conference. I was standing there with Judge Joe Brown. We'd had hecklers the week before with in Hernando, Mississippi. And these young men came behind the podium, came behind the place where we were. And I said, if you're with the press, wait until the press conference is done. I'd be open to any questions. They were insistent of talking then. And I said, listen, this man has a short time being here. Will you wait, please? I thought that they were plants.
So you're saying they were out of order? They
were out of order. And I asked nicely. They would not move. I talked to Sparky Reardon, who said, are you guys going to start right at noon? We only had, a certain amount of time that I had committed to. And I told the guys if they had questions, answer me later. After we were done with the press conference, not only did I go up to their stand and speak with them, I debated Ron Paul on the Fox Business Network, and I spoke with the gentleman there. They wanted to get Ron Paul to come down and speak, and I even offered to help them with that. So at the point at the press conference, they were out of order. But
did you summon the University Police Department to remove the students?
They were already there. They were already there as security.
And their answer to that was?
And they said, you need to go. Because we had to start our press conference.
You need to go, or do the students
The students need to go from being behind. Paul, they were behind the podium.
But it says here the UPD did not remove any of the students from the area.
They asked them to leave, and they left.
Okay. All right.
I'm
reading the article itself.
Because it's not that I could not answer them.
Wouldn't be the first time that an article is wrong.
I know, but it's kind of sad that because the students and I made up afterwards, and they were just merely students.
Richard in Jackson. Richard, thanks for holding, sir. I appreciate it, and I thank you for calling back. And Jack, Fred, Rod, Bill, we'll try to get to you. Go ahead, Richard.
Yes. Listen, Paul, your guest there, I was with her for a while, but now I'm hearing a lot of fishtailing. My thing is this. You made your point about guns on the first episode when you first come on the Paul Gallo show. Now you change your word. They're going to use that against you, and I don't think you realize it because you seem like you're getting upset. Okay, you corrected yourself. I don't know a politician that have never overspoken. That's what you did the first time. Okay, what you do this time is just you corrected yourself. Now let's leave the gun thing alone. And now Paul is really exercising you, letting you know the questions that are going to be asked of you later. It's the way you answering these questions.
So, Richard, as a political consultant, what's our next move here?
I mean, honestly, though, I'm just an average voter, and I'm trying to make a determination.
Yeah,
but
but I got bad news for you. You're not in. You can't vote. You're not in the first district.
Well, no.
So it's kind of like an exercise in futility. So well, I would take that angst and
Paul done his homework.
Now what the hell are you going to do with that anger?
You need somebody on your team.
No. Listen, I appreciate that. This is what I do. But secondly, I'm worried about you now. How are you going to release all of that pent up anger? I don't want you to show up on a police blotter a little bit later on. I care about you. Jack, go ahead, sir.
Good morning. I have a question for Mr. McGlowan. Mr. Gallo asked you a very direct question about 10 or 15 minutes ago to the general effect, have you now changed your mind about gun registration? And you gave him a very direct but unexplained answer. You said yes. You have not told the listeners what precipitated your change of attitude. Why did you change your mind? If you had a principled position before that you were in favor of it, and now you have a principled position that you're not in favor of it, what is it that changed you in your viewpoint and made you give up the principles that you held formerly to adopt a new principle?
Jack sounds like an attorney, and this is closing arguments here. But
yes,
you cannot have had one mindset by answering that as yes. It means that you were you did have that mindset because you changed your mind.
First of all, it wasn't principled to what I said. I made a mistake. I clearly did not know what I was talking about, dealing with gun registration and dealing with the W-2 forms, the W-4 forms. So the answer is I am against gun registration. After looking at the issue, I released a press release to Paul, and I believe, Paul, this interview was August 5th. That same day, was it August 5th, Paul?
I have no idea.
I think it was August 5th.
I really don't.
Yeah, I believe it's August 5th. But in any event, I released a press release to you and to the public stating how I was pro-Second Amendment after actually looking at the Blair-Holt Amendment. Mm-hmm. And this was not that I've changed my mind from last year. This was the day of where, Paul, did I not send you a personal note? Afterwards,
again, I want to get back to
Did I not send you a personal note? Because we're talking about the guy asked me about my principal.
Numerous.
I sent notes. You. No, I'm not sending. I have not. Now look, come on, Paul. Tell the truth.
I'm talking about
tell the truth.
Related to the show. We've had numerous conversations. Have we not?
We've had conversations, but I only sent you one letter
and none of them
and one
you were
press
happy
release.
With it.
Huh?
In none of those conversations were you very happy with the outcome of that show.
Paul, I sent you a letter, and I sent a press release that day. So I was talking about the gentleman's talking about my principal.
WWMR, go ahead.
Well, I am in your district, and I have some of the same sentiments as the caller before.
Yes, sir.
And I've kind of followed you through the Tea Party movement.
Yes, sir.
And I was, thinking, it'd be a hard choice between Alan Nunley and you. Uh-huh. But, I was really interested in you. But you like today, you're like a cat that somebody got on its tail. And you laugh if you want to.
Okay.
But you've talked me out of voting for you.
Well, sir.
I want you to tell me what you'll do for North Mississippi. I've heard you one time on the talk show when you were trying to decide if you were going to run or not.
Sir.
And you act like one of the main things facing North Mississippi was lack of high-speed internet. Uh-huh. And if and while that's an issue.
Yes, sir.
That is a minor issue.
Yes, sir.
For what's wrong in North Mississippi.
Yes, sir.
All right, Bill.
So you're really going to have to give us what it is you're going to do for us. I mean, we're not for Pelosi and Obama,
yes,
some of their wild things.
Yes, sir.
So you're going to have to tell us what you're going to do for us in North Mississippi.
Right. And I Bill, thank you, sir. Appreciate it very much.
Bill, I wanted to utilize this platform, since this is a popular show, to talk about what I want to do for North Mississippi. We've been spending a lot of time.
How about this? We will look at possibly putting together a debate if that's a possibility or something like that.
I would love.
Well, we'll work on that.
I would love it.
This one
I'm committing now.
The reason for this one was to address the earlier show,
Bill,
not to bash the other candidates, whether Childers or Ross or Nunley or anybody else's. This was to clarify the meanings on your behalf. For your sake, for the first show.
Paul, let me give Bill that respect, though. Bill, I'm giving a lot of speeches in Mississippi, and I'm going to be in Tupelo today at noon doing a speech. One thing I'm not going to do is do what Alan Nunley did in signing the same tax pledge that I signed with NRCC.
Let me ask you this.
Let me finish, and I'm not going to raise your taxes.
If you
I will not take an earmark. And I will work on legislation that will give tax credits to small businesses.
If you are not the nominee, if you don't win, if you happen to lose, if the wildest thing happens and you don't win this, will you support the Republican nominee?
If it's Henry Ross, I will.
Really?
Yes.
You would not support. So in other words, if it's Alan Nunley, you would not support Nunley. You would support Childers?
I will support the Republican Party. I will more than likely write a book about my experience about Mississippi politics. Because being a best-selling author, and this has been a unique experience for me, and I will support the run against Nancy Pelosi and Obama.
Angela, do you know how bad that sounds?
Philosophically, I do not agree. Alan Nunley is a rhino Republican.
This is an exercise in you getting material for a book?
Alan Nunley is not a true conservative from my standpoint. He's a rhino Republican in name only.
So, in other words, you would not support the Republican nominee?
If it is Henry Ross, I will support Henry Ross. I will support the National Party. I will not speak against Alan Nunley, but I cannot support signing a tax pledge and then raising taxes, Paul. That's
Angela,
what he did.
Thank you for coming in. I appreciate it very, very much.
Thank
we
you for
will talk
having me.
about gays in the military. Don't ask, don't tell. Elaine Donnelly, President.